In a world where we often believe everything has already been discovered, the oceans constantly remind us how much mystery remains. No matter how much we explore their depths, new wonders and surprises always seem to emerge. Today, we're diving into the unknown as we explore 15 terrifying things uncovered by submarines and deep-sea divers. Number 15. Missing persons. Missing persons no more. It's a case of being gone for 20 years and then suddenly being found. The case lasted for decades, and it's finally come to a close when a YouTuber, of all people, discovered the car of two missing teens. The teens we're speaking about are Jeremy Bechtel, who was 17, and Aaron Foster, who was 18. Both of them had gone missing on April 3, 2003, in White County, Tennessee. It was a mystery of all mysteries because in 2003, Jeremy and Aaron had left the Foster home in Sparta and then gone to a party in White County. That's where things got a little messy because they never returned home. The last time anyone saw them was around 10 p.m. on April 3rd. With little evidence, no leads, and more questions than answers, investigators were stumped for a long time. They did have one person they could question, the last person who saw them, their brother Will, but he didn't have any answers either. He may have been the last person to see them, but that's where it ended. Then, in 2012, there was a break in the case. It was reported that wells in White County had been dug up, and the Fosters had been found. The obvious explanation was that they were murdered and their bodies were abandoned near the well site. So, who found them? It was a YouTuber named Jeremy Sides out of Atlanta, Georgia. He specializes in solving cold cases using state-of-the-art sonar technology. After learning about the Bechtel and Foster case, he took it upon himself to start investigating. He went down to Tennessee, not telling a soul, connected with the local police department, and, working in tandem, located the car. He even made the drive down himself. The families were heartbroken to find out that their loved ones were officially gone. Even when there are answers, things like this are never easy. But it's still pretty tremendous that after 20 years, a cold case was solved. Number 14. Caught in Undertow. Large bodies of water are always scary. There are a lot of unknowns when it comes to the world's oceans. Sometimes, a day at the beach can become a nightmare. And it's not only sharks that make these bodies of water scary. There's another threat that's equally as fatal, rip currents. Rip currents rack up about 150 deaths every year in the United States alone. In some states, there are more deaths from rip currents than natural disasters, and about 80% of beach rescues are related to rip currents, not sharks. Just like there are a lot of unknowns with the oceans, unfortunately, there's still a lot of misinformation about rip currents. Swimmers don't know what the best advice is. The first thing to understand is exactly what a rip current is. A rip current is a narrow and strong movement of water that runs perpendicular to the beach. They can range from 200 to 2,500 feet in length and are usually less than 30 feet wide. What makes these rip currents devastating is their speed. They can go about 5 miles per hour or faster. The reason for their existence is that they come from regular ocean waves. Sometimes, the waves are stronger than usual. When an external force pushes on the ocean, it creates a swell of water, and the water is passed to the ocean surface. There's a lot more that goes into it, but for time's sake, these are powerful waves that are hard to escape. So, how do you escape a rip current? The first thing to remember is to stay calm. You can't do anything if you're panicking. It's important to fight your instincts because you'll want to fight the wave, you'll want to go against it and get back to land. But that's not smart, you'll only get tired. The best approach is to swim sideways, parallel to the beach. This will help you get to other waves that are less threatening, and those waves will help you get back to shore. Never use more energy than you need to. To avoid rip currents altogether, you should always stick to shallow water and never go into the ocean by yourself. Rip currents can be very uncertain. One thing's for sure, the ocean can be terrifying. Number 13. See Snake Stalker. They say that drinking makes people look more attractive. We guess the same can be said when a snake can't see that well because this next story is about a sexually frustrated snake who attacked a scuba diver. Yeah, you heard that right. It happened in Australia when a scuba diver came into contact with a giant male sea snake with bad vision. The sea snake mistook the scuba diver for a potential mate. This would have probably been a funny story for the scuba diver to tell his buddies when he got back to land, but it was pretty scary for that man because the sea snake was venomous. The fact that the reptile was coiling his fins and even chasing the scuba diver around was some life-threatening stuff. What's amazing is that it isn't all that uncommon. There was a study where researchers analyzed 158 similar interactions involving olive sea snakes. They did this over several years in the Great Barrier Reef, and what they found was that these types of interactions happened during the reptile's mating season. The researchers could tell that the snake was sexually frustrated because it was exhibiting mating rituals only seen during the season. One of the first researchers to notice this behavior was a man named Tim Lynch. He collected this type of data in the mid-1990s and was the one to link the snake's behavior to the mating season, along with the odd behavior toward humans. He's now a research scientist at CSIRO. As for the scuba diver, we hope that he joined a dating site and stayed away from the waters for a little bit. Number 12. Creepy River. It seems like every day divers are coming up with something new. This next one on our list may not be new to divers, but we can put our money on the fact that you may not have heard about it. Imagine a cloud under a lake, or better yet, a lake with a false floor. That's exactly what the Angelito cenote has been described as by anyone who's been brave enough to venture inside it. Some other terms for it have been mysterious and spooky. So what is it exactly? Located in the Mexican jungle, right outside the ruins of the Mayan city of Tulum, there's a line of sinkholes and caves that send you right to an amazing underground world, right out of a Disney movie. Within this world is one known as the Angelito cenote. It's a 200-foot deep body of water that opens with the dense jungle surroundings. This pool was created by crumbling porous limestone. Once the hole was created, water crept in over the years. This location had such a presence among the Mayan people that they worshipped it at one point. The name cenote translates to sacred well. Today, the Angelito has become a popular diving spot, but it's usually reserved for advanced divers because it's not the easiest to navigate. People say that it has a false floor that looks like a cloud because when you get down to the first body of water, which is about 25 meters deep, you reach the second layer. In between that layer of water, there's an underground cloud. It's not a real cloud, of course. It's thick hydrogen sulfide, made up of gases that leaked out of decomposing trees and leaves that fell from the jungle. No matter what it is, it's still a pretty cool thing to see. It's not every day that you see a body of water turning into a cloud. Number 11. Unexploded Mines. Oh, so that's where you left that giant British World War II bomb. Imagine living around an unexploded bomb that had been sitting there since World War II. This was the case in Poland, where Polish military divers had to pull off a delicate operation to defuse a British World War II bomb at the bottom of the Baltic Sea shipping canal. It's hard to imagine a bomb could sit there for that long and still be that dangerous, but it was. So dangerous that around 750 residents had to be evacuated from the area. It would take about 5 days to pull off the operation. The bomb itself was called a tallboy, but had the nickname earthquake bomb. It measured 6 meters long and weighed about 5.4 metric tons. Half of that was all explosives. So how did this bomb get there? In 1945, the RAF dropped it in a raid, and it sank a German cruiser. How did the Polish military get this thing out? Well, the charge had to be removed by a separate device. Divers had to take days to make sure the site was prepared correctly. The bomb had been discovered during dredging the prior year. The ordeal was the first of its kind, as Poland had never had to deal with such a sizable bomb underwater before. Luckily, everything went well. The only place this bomb will be blowing up is social media. Now it's time for today's topic. During a routine deep-sea expedition in the North Atlantic, a submarine crew was left shaken after one of their divers surfaced in a state of sheer panic. The mission, intended to explore a newly discovered trench, took a terrifying turn when the diver, tasked with inspecting the submarine's exterior, began screaming for help over the comms. The diver, an experienced marine biologist, claimed to have seen something he described as not of this world. His frantic cries for assistance were followed by erratic breathing and incoherent descriptions of a terrifying face staring back at him from the darkness. The crew immediately pulled him back into the submarine, but the damage was done. He was visibly shaken, trembling, and unable to speak clearly. The crew reviewed the submarine's external cameras but found no clear evidence of what the diver had seen. Some speculate he may have encountered an unidentified deep-sea creature, while others suggest the crushing isolation and darkness of the trench may have triggered a psychological episode. The diver was airlifted to a nearby facility for therapy, but he has since refused to discuss the incident. The mystery remains unsolved, leaving the crew and experts to wonder, what did he really see in the depths of the ocean? Number 10. Whale Shark Rescue. It's one thing to come face to face with a massive beast when you're expecting it. That's harrowing enough. But what happens when you come face to face with that very beast and then realize that it needs some serious help? These are all questions that a group of divers had to ask themselves while exploring the waters right off the coast of Roca Partida Island, located about 250 miles south of Mexico's Baja Peninsula. Boy, were they in for quite a shocker. What happened was almost like something out of a Godzilla movie because emerging from the foggy water beneath them was a massive whale shark. Obviously, at first glance, that's startling. But then, upon closer inspection, they realized that the shark was wrapped in a thick rope. Not only that, but it was strangling the whale shark. Needless to say, the divers had a decision to make: save the whale or just keep going. Of course, without hesitation, they took action and tried to cut the whale loose. As you can see in the video from this amazing rescue, it shows the very moment the whale was freed by the divers. This all happened in 2012, but for whatever reason, it's become popular again. It may have been humans who endangered this whale, but the unfortunate truth is that the whale was probably accidentally caught because of humans. Luckily for the whale, it survived. Now that's a whale of a tale. Number 9. Riding the subway. We've all heard of catching waves or subway surfers, although we don't recommend the second one. Well, what if we told you that a couple of divers got so close to a submarine that they could have ridden it like a skateboard? This is exactly what happened when these two divers in this TikTok video came terrifyingly close to a submarine. As the massive vessel glided silently through the water, its sheer size made the divers look tiny in comparison. The water around them seemed to vibrate with the low-frequency rumble, and you could almost feel the pressure change as the submarine passed by. For a moment, the divers hovered motionless, caught between awe and fear, unsure whether to swim away or stay and watch. The encounter was so surreal that one diver later described it as feeling like they were in a scene from a science fiction movie. They were so close that you could hear the hum of the giant beast underwater. In the video, they posed a question of whether or not the viewer would be risky enough to go that deep and that close to a submarine. The somewhat high-pitched hum of the submarine itself created a horror movie-type feel to the whole video. Originally, these divers were down there to freedive a shipwreck when they were startled to see a submarine coming right their way. It's not often that we get to hear what a submarine sounds like underwater, but judging from the sound, some hums are best left underwater. Would you be daring enough to swim meters down and get that close to a moving submarine? What about riding it like a surfboard? Number 8. Mysterious offering to the gods. We've heard about leaving cookies for Santa Claus if you want to give the guy some treats for leaving you good gifts, but what about leaving offerings to supernatural deities? That's apparently what's been going on in Lake Titicaca in the Andes. It was a team of archaeological divers who uncovered a bunch of treasures at the very bottom of the lake. Some of the artifacts were so well preserved that intricate patterns and symbols could still be seen etched into the gold. The divers described the experience as almost otherworldly, with shafts of sunlight illuminating the ancient treasures as they sifted through the silt. Each new discovery added to the mystery, raising questions about what other secrets might still be hidden beneath the lake's surface. The finds have sparked renewed interest in the Tijuana culture, with historians eager to learn more about their rituals and beliefs. They found a puma carved out of blue gemstone, gold medallions, and a turquoise stone pendant. No, it wasn't just one person who left their jewels at the bottom of the water. With all their expertise in the field, these researchers determined that the riches were probably offered to supernatural deities about 100 years ago. The people who made these offerings were from the Tijuana culture, who resided around the Andes Mountains from the years 500 to 1100. But it didn't stop there. They figured out that these people used boats to get to the middle of Lake Titicaca and then made the offerings there. Over the years, it's thought that the tiny island they had traveled to had fallen into the water. That's most likely why the gems got buried. Santa Claus might actually like a blue gemstone over a cookie now and then, but he probably wouldn't want to travel to Lake Titicaca to get it. Number 7. Underwater Fantasyland. We've already covered a cloud on the water. How about an underwater Fantasyland? Right off the coast of Ayia Napa in Cyprus is a museum, but not just any museum. You have to be wearing swim gear to visit it. Trust us, it's definitely worth a suggested donation. It's called the Museum of Underwater Sculptures. This museum has 93 art installations, all made from high-quality marine stainless steel and pH-neutral concrete that helps marine life grow on it, just like artificial reefs would. This was all created by sculptor and photographer Jason DeCaires Taylor and runs about 8 to 10 meters deep. The beautiful thing about these art installations is that they're supposed to attract a wide variety of sea life. Some of the sculptures are shaped like trees, while others resemble human figures frozen in motion, creating an almost dreamlike scene beneath the waves. As sunlight filters through the water, the sculptures cast shifting shadows on the sandy seabed, making each visit feel a little different. Snorkelers and divers often spot schools of colorful fish weaving between the installations, and sometimes even sea turtles glide by, adding to the magic. The museum has quickly become a favorite spot for underwater photographers who love capturing the surreal blend of art and nature. Think of it as an ice cream truck for fish. This museum is perfect for anyone visiting because the waters are so clear that you can forget your swimming. Of course, you'll still need a snorkel. We've called it a museum quite a few times, but it's actually a rewilding project. Only about 10 to 15% of the seabed has enough solid substratum. Without that, reefs can't grow naturally. So, this is why an artificial replacement helps. Think of it as a museum with extra benefit. In addition, the sculptures have a surface that allows things like coral, sponges, and other microscopic organisms to latch on and thrive. Going back to our ice cream truck analogy, the sculptures are also kind of like a buffet for other marine life. So, as you get to marvel at the scene down below, the fish also get a feast. Now, that's a win-win. Number 6. Squid Attack. When it comes to the ocean, there's still so much that we don't know. We don't know what type of sea life is left to be discovered, and we also haven't navigated to the depths of many areas in the ocean around the world. If it was a video game map, there would be so many parts of it blacked out. Sailors have long whispered about seeing massive tentacles rising from the depths, sometimes wrapping around the hulls of ships in the dead of night. Some modern divers have even reported feeling a sudden tug on their equipment, only to turn and catch a glimpse of a huge, shadowy form slipping away into the darkness. The Humboldt squid, in particular, has earned the nickname Red Devil because of its aggressive behavior and the way its skin flashes a deep crimson when agitated. There are stories of these squids working together in groups, surrounding divers or fishing boats, and displaying a surprising level of intelligence. Underwater cameras have captured footage of squids investigating lights and even attacking submersibles, leaving behind sucker marks as evidence. The mystery of their true nature only adds to their legend, making every encounter a mix of awe and fear. Some researchers believe that the squid's attacks are simply a defensive response, while others think they might be testing their environment or even hunting. But one thing's for sure, we do know some sea creatures have no hesitation to attack. One of those creatures that likes to attack more than we had thought is rumored to be the giant squid. Throughout history, there have been many accounts of giant squids attacking humans and their boats, more specifically the Humboldt squid. These are the squids that have been told in stories dating back to the 18th century. Some referred to them as the Kraken. One of the last known giant squid attacks comes from 2003, when a French yacht sailing encountered a 26-foot-long squid that attacked the boat. This has led many to wonder how dangerous squid actually are. Some scientists believe that squids are harmless until provoked, while others believe that they attack when they want to attack. We're not sure if they're dangerous or not, but we do know that we'll probably leave it up to those sailors to find out. Number 5. Chiles Titanic. Speaking of finding things on the ocean floor, after decades of misery comes answers to where 400 people lost their lives. It's the Chilean steamship SS Itata, which was a passenger cargo vessel. It also doubled as a warship in the War of the Pacific and the Chilean Revolution. When the wreck was finally discovered, it was found lying deep off the coast of Coquimbo, shrouded in darkness and silt. The ship's hull was remarkably well preserved, with its name still faintly visible along the bow, a haunting reminder of its tragic end. Divers exploring the site reported seeing personal belongings scattered among the debris, shoes, dishes, and even a child's toy, all frozen in time. The discovery brought closure to many families who had wondered for generations what happened to their ancestors. Marine archaeologists were able to map the wreck in detail, revealing the violent way the ship broke apart as it sank. The site has since become a somber underwater memorial, attracting both researchers and those wishing to pay their respects. Back in 1891, it went down while traveling. This was where things got hairy for the ship. A terrible storm caused the wreck, and it got worse from there. Historical records state that among the 400 passengers on board, a lot of them tried to escape by lifeboat, but the waves proved to be too strong. Out of the 400 that were on the ship, only 13 made it out alive. The mystery of the ship remained until 2010 when the search began for the wreckage. It was similar to the Titanic wreckage. That's where the nickname Chiles Titanic came from. It was a man named Matthias Gorney, scientific director of Oceana, who pinpointed where the ship went down. Then, it wasn't long until they got footage of the ship itself. Here's to hoping that there won't be any more iterations of the Titanic to come. One might be enough. Number 4. Sunken City. We've all heard about the lost city of Atlantis, but what about the sunken city of Bea? Move over, Aquaman, there's a new city to explore. Located in Bea, Italy, they say that this sunken city used to be the Las Vegas of its heyday, and now it sits quietly underwater. Divers who visit today can still see mosaics, marble floors, and the outlines of ancient villas, all eerily preserved beneath the waves. Statues of Roman gods and emperors lie scattered across the seafloor, some still standing guard over what used to be opulent gardens and bathhouses. The water is surprisingly clear, allowing glimpses of intricate tilework and crumbling columns that hint at the city's former grandeur. Some underwater archaeologists have even discovered ancient graffiti etched into the walls, offering a glimpse into the daily lives of Bea's residents. Occasionally, thermal bubbles rise from the volcanic vents, creating a surreal, otherworldly atmosphere as you swim through the ruins. Guided snorkeling and glass-bottom boat tours let visitors experience the city without ever getting wet, making it a popular destination for history buffs and adventure seekers alike. It had existed for centuries and was a place that the rich and powerful would frequent. It almost sounds like Manhattan. The scary part about this place was that it was located over natural volcanic vents and was said to have had healing medicinal hot springs. Talk about an awesome spa. Figures like Nero, Cicero, and Caesar loved to visit this sprawling city. Hopefully, Vegas and Manhattan don't see the same fate as this once bustling city did because, in the 8th century, it was sacked by the Muslim army. The rest was abandoned. Those same volcanic vents that made the city seem like one giant spa helped raise the water level, and that's how the city became underwater. Today, the remains can still be visited. It's like an underground water park. The structures aren't in great condition, but a lot of it is still preserved pretty well. Just know, you probably won't see any slot machines down there. Number 3. Nomad Jellyfish. The jellyfish are coming. That's what the people of Antalya are saying. Turkish media has reported that thousands of dangerous jellyfish have landed on the shores. They're known as white jellyfish travelers, and they can inflict pretty painful injuries on humans. Swimmers have described the sting as a sudden, burning sensation that can last for hours, sometimes leaving behind red welts or blisters. Local fishermen have also been affected, finding their nets clogged with jellyfish and sometimes suffering stings while hauling in their catch. Some beaches have even posted warning signs and set up patrols to keep an eye out for large groups of jellyfish drifting close to shore. Marine biologists are monitoring the situation closely, trying to determine if this is a temporary surge or part of a larger trend linked to climate change. In some cases, the jellyfish have been spotted in shallow water, making it difficult for children and casual swimmers to avoid them. The sudden influx has also sparked curiosity, with some tourists venturing out to take photos, though experts strongly advise against getting too close. This is because they have something called vermicular filaments, which are essentially venomous stinging cells. The reason that the people here should be on the lookout is that the currents can sweep the nomad jellyfish onto the shore. This occurs because of fluctuating weather. It's temporary, but the people still need to look out because coming in contact with one of those jellyfish could pose serious consequences. Number 2. Baby Godzilla. Wait a minute, it's not Godzilla. It's a little too small. That's baby Godzilla. More specifically, it's a marine iguana. Of course, they've been called baby Godzillas for how they look. To the uninitiated, they can be a little terrifying, but they won't be stomping any buildings. They're most notable for their tendency to feed in shallow marine waters. Instead of eating people, they eat algae. These remarkable reptiles are the only lizards in the world that have adapted to forage in the sea, making them truly unique among their kind. During the day, you can spot them basking on sun-warmed rocks, soaking up heat before their next chilly dive. When they swim, their flattened tails help them glide effortlessly through the water, almost like miniature sea monsters. Scientists have even observed them diving as deep as 30 meters in search of food, holding their breath for up to 30 minutes. Their dark, rough skin helps them absorb sunlight quickly, which is crucial after a cold swim. Sometimes, you'll see them huddled together in large groups, sharing warmth and protection from predators. Despite their tough appearance, they're actually quite gentle and shy around humans. They lounge on rocky shores by the water. When people don't think of them as Godzilla, they often mimic an alligator. They swim much like snakes, similar to Godzilla's ability to swim while also being able to navigate on land. Now, instead of Godzilla's ability to spit fire, these iguanas sneeze out salt. This is mainly because, as they eat underwater, they take in a lot of salt water, and they need to prevent themselves from becoming dehydrated. That's a pretty cool trick. Not as cool as burning down buildings in movies, but it'll do. On a serious note, these iguanas can be considered close to extinction. Because of this, they've complete legal protection in the Galapagos Islands. It's not necessarily people who are threatening their existence, it's invasive species. With a little awareness, these iguanas should be around for a long time. Number 1. Cargo plane. Some things are left best to the imagination, and this is because the actual sight of them can be eerie. This is the case for Trans Air Flight 810, which was found around 2 miles offshore from Waikiki Beach on the island of Oahu. The plane went down, and photos were just released from the National Transportation Safety Board. The wreckage is spooky. When divers first approached the site, they described an almost surreal silence, broken only by the sound of their own bubbles. Schools of curious fish had already begun to weave in and out of the open cargo doors, making the jet their new playground. The cockpit, still eerily intact, looked as if the pilots had just stepped out for a moment. Sunlight filtered through the water, casting ghostly patterns across the fuselage and illuminating the airline's faded logo. Some divers reported feeling a chill as they swam past the empty passenger seats, now home to small crabs and sea urchins. The plane's black box was eventually recovered, providing crucial clues about the final moments before the crash. Even so, the sight of the aircraft resting quietly on the ocean floor left a lasting impression on everyone who saw it. When the plane had gone down, the 2 crew members on board were rescued by the Coast Guard and fire department. It had gone down because the Boeing 737-200 cargo jet needed to make an emergency water landing. The plane was found later on the seafloor. Most of the major components of the airplane were located. This includes the fuselage, wings, tail, and both engines. But there's something eerie about seeing the plane sitting on the floor of the ocean, as you can see in these photos. Maybe it's the black and white coloring, or maybe it's just the fact of how intact it looks. Either way, it's pretty interesting to see. The world's oceans are full of mysteries, whether it's venomous jellyfish drifting through the depths or sunken airplanes resting on the seafloor. You never really know what secrets lie beneath the waves. Sometimes what you discover can be truly terrifying. Which of these ocean mysteries fascinates you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.